Hello and welcome to our webinar series. This is Menopause in the Workplace, and thank you to everyone that's joined. Hopefully everyone should be able to see the presentation. I'll just get that up for you. If we have any questions or queries, please leave them in the chat box and we'll answer these as best as we can. As I said, my name's Sian. I'm a HR consultant here at THSP and the Menopause lead. So menopause in the workplace. Menopause and perimenopause shouldn't be a taboo subject, and everyone should feel that they can have a conversation with their line manager, especially when they need guidance and advice. It is a natural stage of life which is experienced by around half of the workforce at some point, and many employees with menopause symptoms which can be severe, feel that they have to suffer in silence. Everyone will know someone in their life who has or will be affected by the menopause, be it a mother, sister, partner, or colleague and friends. The menopause can include stages pre and post, and this can affect individuals in very different ways. This can affect individuals who may not identify as women biologically, so you must be sensitive and supportive towards this. Lack of support for employees experiencing perimenopause and menopausal symptoms can result in resignations if they do not feel supported, and any loss of employees due to this is detrimental for an organisation. It is important that organisations see the benefit and the value of supporting employees throughout this process. So the EHRC, or the Equality and Human Rights Commission, have highlighted that menopause symptoms could be defined as a disability, and as such an employer would need to be under a legal obligation to make reasonable adjustments. They will also be under a legal obligation to not directly or indirectly discriminate because of the disability, or subject the woman or the individual with menopausal or perimenopausal symptoms to discrimination arising from that disability. With the 2024 change in government, Labour have already highlighted their menopause plan and policy, which would introduce the right for leave for women who are suffering from symptoms of the menopause. They are looking to require that large employers with over 250 employees to produce a menopause action plan, publish their plan and communicate policies to employees and support through training. Labour's policy, it doesn't set out specific requirements for employees to follow, so the action plan can be tailored to different workplaces. Employers will be required to submit their plans annually to the existing government portal used for gender pay gap reporting, but that shouldn't prevent any female worker feeling that anyone isn't important. Sorry. Every employer should take positive action to support their female colleagues. Under the current Employment Rights Bill, which is proposing changes from now on over the next 2 years, large employers would be expected to bring about mandatory requirements from 2027. So ideally, they're looking for employers of this size to ideally have something in place as best practice from April next year, and for 2027 it will become legislation. The party plans on issuing guidance on how to compose plans and will publish guidance for employees on uniform and workplace temperature issues, as well as flexible working and menopause leave and absence. The menopause can cause a range of physical and psychological symptoms which can be different for each individual. However, the menopause needn't be an awkward or embarrassing topic, and even simple changes to someone's working environment can make a huge difference to their well-being and work output. As an employee and responsibilities, it's important that employees prioritise their personal health and well-being. If they're struggling with any aspect of their role as a result of symptoms associated with menopause, they should report any concerns that they may have to their line manager, who must treat the matter with complete confidence. Physical symptoms of menopause can vary and include the following: hot flushes, insomnia, fatigue, headaches, skin irritation, urinary problems, night sweats, weight gain, muscle and joint symptoms. As a result of the above, or as an extension of hormone imbalance, individuals going through the menopause can also experience psychological difficulties, including mental health issues, so including depression, anxiety, panic attacks, mood swings, irritability, brain fog, as it's called, and loss of confidence. In order to ensure that employees can be provided with the best support possible, organisations should encourage them to be open and honest in conversations. So supporting colleagues. There is an expectation that all employers and organisations should conduct themselves in a helpful and open-minded manner towards their employees, and for employees to behave in the same way to their colleagues. So employee responsibilities should include, as I say, supporting colleagues, approachability. So when responding to an employee experiencing difficulties caused by the menopause, line managers should maintain an open door policy so that they feel comfortable in approaching them. Line managers should support employees to talk openly about their current situation and should not make presumptions about how it's affecting them. Line managers will normally be the first point of contact if an employee needs to discuss their health concerns or make adjustments to their role. Line managers need to be confident in their role regarding managing and supporting colleagues with menopausal symptoms. They need to understand and reduce the barriers that could potentially prevent a colleague going through the menopause transition from performing or developing to their full potential. Line managers need to be able to identify appropriate workplace changes or adjustments to support team members and help them thrive at work. Employees need to be able to foster an inclusive working environment in which everyone is treated fairly. Workplace adjustments. So if symptoms are affecting your employees' work, they should be encouraged and supported to speak with their line manager for support or reasonable adjustments. The employee doesn't need a medical certificate to qualify as disabled for their manager to arrange reasonable adjustments. The aim of the adjustments will be to remove or reduce the disadvantage created by their symptoms so they can succeed at work. If they're experiencing difficulties at work or debilitating symptoms, possible adjustments might include flexible working hours if possible, or the option to work from home where required. Once you've agreed on what adjustments are reasonable, these should be reviewed regularly to ensure the employee is getting the right support. In order to assist with their daily duties, you as a line manager should explore making adjustments to their role or working environment with the aim of reducing the effect that the menopause is having on them. We acknowledge that the menopause affects each individual in a different way, so no adjustment should be made without fully discussing it with the employee first. Once the adjustments are agreed, they will be reviewed on an ongoing basis to ensure that they are having the required effect. Adjustments should be tailored to the individual employee's specific needs, and below we will go through the guidance, and this has specifically been recommended by the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development, CIPD. So if someone is suffering from sleep disruption and or night sweats, you should recognise that someone may take short-term absence if they've had a difficult night and they're not feeling well. Consider a change to shift patterns if that's how their role is, or the ability to swap shifts on a temporary basis. Offer a flexible working arrangement, for example, a later start and finish time. Where possible, ensure employees know that they can work from home or on an ad hoc basis if they've had a difficult night. Hot flushes. So look at ways to cool the working environment. For example, provide a fan, move a desk close to a window or adjust the air conditioning. provide easy access to cold drinking water and washrooms, adapt uniforms to improve comfort, and limit the time wearing PPE if that's the requirement of their role. If the employee is suffering from heavy or irregular periods, provide easy access to washroom and toilet facilities, allow for more frequent breaks to go to the toilet, be understanding about someone working from home if they have very heavy bleeding, make sanitary products available in washrooms, and make it easy to request extra uniforms if needed. If they are suffering with headache and fatigue, examples could be, so this is not kind of limited, but they're just examples. So you could consider a temporary adjustment to someone's work duties, provide a quiet area to work, provide access to a restroom, offer easy access to drinking water, allow regular breaks and opportunities to take medication. Examples of reasonable adjustments if they're suffering from muscular aches and joint pain, make any necessary temporary adjustments through review of risk assessments and work schedules, allow someone to move around or stay mobile if that helps. If they're suffering with kind of psychological issues and poor mental health, anxiety, stress and well-being concerns, so you should encourage employees to discuss concerns at one-to-one meetings with their line manager or occupational health, discuss possible adjustments to tasks and duties that are proving a challenge for them, address work-related stress by carrying out a stress risk assessment, and this is something that's also recommended by the Health and Safety Executive. Signpost to an employee assistance programme if you have one, or counselling services is available. Identify a supportive colleague for them to talk to away from the office or work area, so having a menopause kind of champion, wellbeing champion as well, mental health first aiders if you have them. Allow time when needed to have some quiet time or undertake relaxation or mindfulness exercises. Provide access to a quiet space to work or the opportunity to work from home. Have an agreed protected time to catch up with work so they can focus. And also kind of discuss whether it be helpful for the employee to see their GP if they haven't already. Other examples of adjustments could include providing private areas for employees to rest, recover or make phone calls, to access personal and professional support, ensuring working time arrangements are flexible enough to meet the needs of menopausal employees. For example, they may need more breaks during the day or may need to leave work suddenly if their symptoms become severe. Facilitate a comfortable working environment wherever possible, and that's obviously ensuring water, temperature controlled areas, access to toilets, and comfortable washing facilities. So you need to remember that menopause symptoms can fluctuate, so employers need to take a flexible approach and check in regularly with the individual. A company is legally obliged by the Equality Act 2010 to make reasonable adjustments to an employee's role or working conditions if they have a disability and that places them at a disadvantage when performing their role. And you need to ensure compliance with the obligations in this regard. I appreciate that the term reasonable from reasonable adjustments will be reflected differently with different organisations, and some adjustments are dependent on roles and not always possible. However, as a company, you need to look at what you can do and how you can be flexible. So risk assessments. Risk assessments should consider the specific needs of menopausal employees and ensure that the working environment will not make the symptoms worse. Making simple changes to the working environment can help alleviate the impact of some symptoms. A risk assessment should look at issues such as temperature and ventilation of their working area, the materials used if they have to wear uniform or corporate clothing, and access to toilet facilities and access to cold water. Managing performance. Oh, okay. If someone's performance is suffering, it's important to help them address the root cause. In some cases, menopausal symptoms can be so serious that they affect a person's performance at work. In this situation, it's in everyone's interest, yours, the organisations, the employees, to discuss potential adjustments that could help the individual perform to their full potential. Whether it's expected or known health issues, these should be explored prior to any formal processes for underperformance. Performance management should not be just a one-off annual appraisal meeting. It's most effective when it's proactive, even informal, and based on regular and constructive feedback and discussions with the employee. This helps to build a trust-based relationships and two-way dialogue, making it easier to address an underlying health issue. If you don't address the root causes of poor performance, any solutions are unlikely to fully resolve the issue. And this is where problems can spiral into issues with sickness absence. So how do you manage health issues affecting performance? We recommend having regular informal catch-ups with the employees. Approach performance conversations supportively and positively. You need to remove the fear that they're going to lose their job, because that's not what this is about. Take any health issues fully into account where there is underperformance on the part of an individual. Identify any extra support or coaching that the person may benefit from, and set reasonable timescales for improvement. This isn't about someone just not doing their job, it's about supporting them to do their job and to do their best, because at the end of the day that will benefit both them and, most importantly, your organisation. So here at THSP, we're happy to support and provide guidance to companies regarding supporting their employees with menopause and perimenopause. We're able to provide menopause at work policies and guidance, as well as toolkits to support management. We're also able to offer e-learning, training and support for line managers to give them guidance and understanding of how to support their employees. This is just an example of some useful links. The NHS has a lot of guidance as well. But it's becoming a wider topic of conversation, and it is something that the government are taking more seriously as to how support and in regards to legislation and what's expected of companies. So it isn't something that organisations can ignore. As I said, it will have an impact on everyone, even if your workforce doesn't have that many individuals that could be affected. It affects people outside of work as well, right amongst their family. So it is an essential and important topic to talk about. We are able to offer e-learning on this topic, as I suggested. It's a 30-minute online course which provides guidance on how employees can be supportive to their employees. On the employees going through the menopause. If you're interested, please contact our training team. It's training@thsp.co.uk. Any questions? I want to put them in the chat. As I say, please get in contact with us if you're not already a HR customer. If you are, we are able to provide kind of toolkits and policies already, but please don't hesitate to contact us as well regarding any information, and in particular in regards to our training. As I said, it's training@thsp.co.uk. It's quite comprehensive, although it's 30 minutes and it's e-learning, but it is a good introduction to help you understand. Thank you for your time today, and obviously please contact us should you have any questions or queries. Thank you. Bye.